Hey guys, how y'all doing? It's early in the morning. It's about, I don't know, 6:05 a.m. or so. It's a couple minutes after 6 a.m. on, what's today? A Friday morning, I think. Uh, Friday. Um, Sorry we've been out of pocket lately. For the last couple of days, we've been doing research in there for the Texas floodwaters, which are just horrendously bad. It's a heartbreaking story, but I'm here to talk about something a little different today. Uh, you're gonna see that, of course, the title is gonna be Summer Sebastian Rogers, and Jack and Lily Sullivan, and the reason for that is there's a couple of things I want to talk about, like for instance, the Jack and Lily case. Are they trying to tell us something without telling us? Okay. They won't come out and confirm anything about lie detector tests, no passing, no fail, which is, if they were going to clear these parents, they would come out and do it. I think we all understand that. They're saying there's zero signs of an abduction. So what does that mean? They're saying these kids weren't abducted. They don't believe the kids are in the woods. So it believes that it's the parents, right? I mean, to me, that's common sense. In my opinion, that's my alleged opinion, right? I'll say it that way. But are they trying to tell us that, yeah, our fingers are pointed in this direction, right? A lot of people say the stepdad, the one. I mean, there's no way to really tell. It's both of them could be involved, right? I think they both know something. Her little thing was so scripted that it's either one or two ways. Either she's protecting him amongst all this, and it's just all a show, or they're both guilty as heck, right? I don't know. I mean, y'all know my thoughts. I've always thought that a mother's not going to pack up and leave like that. I understand CPS being involved in making them, like I said, making her go, but you couldn't have pulled a parent, a true mother, you could not have pulled her away from where her kids had gone into the woods, supposedly. Allegedly gone in the woods, right? You're not going to pull a mother from that situation. She's not going to leave that yard or that safe zone if she's 100%, innocent. You're not getting her away. But when guilt is involved, when other things don't look right, you got to kind of go by, what are they trying to tell us? To me, the RCMP is trying to tell us that, hey, we don't believe his story. His timeline's not timelining, because the purpose of these videos and looking at surveillance is to figure out all the vehicles in the area. And I'm going to touch point on that on Sebastian just as well, because it's the same thing in that case, and it's the same thing in the Summer Wells case. I don't know. CPS is involved in all these cases, right? Summer Wells, Sebastian, and Jack and Lily. And they're all suspicious. They're all mysteries. But are we any closer to figuring out what law enforcement tries to tell us when they tell us something? It's kind of like the Travis Decker case, too, in a way, as far as how they're going about searching. This man, they keep holding on to these false hopes, and you can't expect, if they are really thinking that he was 500 miles away, then he could just as well be around the world away. We're no closer to finding Travis Decker than they were on day one. And that's just my opinion. This dude has left no clue, no nothing behind. Nothing. If he had left something behind, they'd have found him. If he'd have left any kind of trail at all, they'd have found him. So, I don't know. That's enough on that one. But you know what I'm saying? Like Jack Lily case, from the beginning, law enforcement has said it's suspicious. You know, the first full day in, they were really suspicious. And I think that tells us enough in itself. The silencing it, you know, the not talking, not saying much. Answering questions the same way every time, over and over and over and over again. I can't tell us anything, right? It's that can't tell you type stuff that, you know what I'm getting at, what they're using, right? If they're an ongoing investigation, they're not going to tell us that. And somebody's, oh yeah, I don't think we'll hear much from them until the arrests are made. I really don't. I think they've come to the conclusion that these kids are not in the woods and that these kids were not abducted. They've been saying the abduction theory since the beginning. They don't believe there's no signs. There's a reason for that. Believe me, if they had the slightest hunch that there was an odd vehicle in that area on all those surveillance footages, an odd, weird vehicle in the area, they'd have put an Amber Alert out. Believe me. But that tells us that they didn't think the kids were in immediate danger either. By not putting out an Amber Alert. And then they tell us that they don't believe the kids are alive in the first week as well. And that right there, that's enough to tell me that this is a recovery and not a... I mean, everything they're doing, if you look at what they're doing now, is basically every area they search or anything after this much time is a recovery. And you know, I didn't put it together till I was searching yesterday. That's when I started putting all this together and thinking about it and thinking of what the resemblance was, and if there was a similar occurrence in all of these cases, and kind of map them all together. We put them all together with CPS. We put them all together with most likely abuse in the household, or CPS wouldn't have been involved to begin with. So there was some form of abuse going on, or neglect. In Jack and Lily's case, I mean, CPS had been there within the last 2 to 4 months. So, I mean, one of my sources said with 48 days before they had vanished that CPS had been there. I don't know if that's true or not. Within 48 days. But I don't know. But just like in Sebastian's case, they kind of gave us all those hints in the beginning too. We just didn't pick them up. But the landfill search being the number one that led me to believe, just like what they said in Jack and Lily case, when they said they didn't think that they could be alive after that many days. Sebastian, they searched the landfill in a week. You know, in a week here, they're saying that they don't think the kids could be alive in Jack. Like I said, get it? It's the same thing. Just different ways of putting it. One's searching a landfill, the other one's not. Why? Because they don't have landfills, right? They burn their own trash or whatever there, I think. I don't know, maybe they do have contractors, I don't know, but if they do, I'm surprised they haven't searched the landfill. Or maybe they have and we just don't know it. But I believe they burn their trash there, in that rural area like that. I don't really think they would have trash men. I know it's possible, but Sebastian did, and he happened to vanish on trash day. And but they told us kind of the same things, that they're not going to say he was barefooted, they're not going to say he was wearing what the parents said he was wearing. But they've said it was suspicious and foul play from the beginning, pretty much, from less than a week in, just like in this case. And they've never really, they put an Amber Alert out for Sebastian, but what's the biggest thing they said in there that we really didn't 100% pay attention to? in the way that we should have paid attention to it. And that is that every car was accounted for. And that's FBI and Secret Service. They were the one monitoring all that. Every vehicle in that neighborhood and around that neighborhood on that particular night that he vanished. Or put it this way, from the 25th to the 26th morning and beyond, they, you know what I mean? That's their, they have all those vehicles completely accounted for. Okay, so why didn't we really look at that as, that's telling us that they know every vehicle and whose vehicles they were that were in that area. And they evidently updated the Amber Alert beginning on. So do they think it's possible that Sebastian was taken? Are they trying to tell us that Sebastian was taken by someone and they know this, but they just need to prove it? Whether it be family or a stranger? Do they know by putting out the Amber Alert and then updating the Amber Alert less than 24 hours later, or right at the 24-hour mark? With them having every car accounted for, it doesn't mean they have every car identified. It means they have every car accounted for. Are they looking for a vehicle? Have you ever thought about, are they looking for a vehicle? I don't think they are. I think they're letting us know every car was accounted for. That's when the suspicion about, they don't believe that he left that home on his own. They think he would have had help. They don't think he walked outside the home because there was no scent trail. Just like in Jack and Lily case, there was no scent trail in the backyard where they were supposed to be. The scent trail was actually in the front yard where they weren't supposed to be. Plus the mom said she heard them playing outside when she really, that made no sense, because how do you know they're outside if you don't know they're outside, right? Like, it didn't make sense what she said, just like it didn't make sense what Kate said. He walked out the front door. And then her husband later smacked her in the face with, he couldn't have walked out the front door, the shadowy figure would have been seen. Same as in Summer Well. CPS was involved with a Summer. They pretty much don't believe there's abduction. They've always said they did not believe that an abduction happened. So by them telling us that means that really their hunch is looking in the direction of the family, or someone that was with Summer that day, or around Summer that day. Whether that be Hunter or any of the other ones. But more to the less, I think, if you look at all three of these cases, there's probably arrest warrants for all the parents, but they just can't prove it to make the arrest. That's what I'm starting to wonder, because it's all these cases are showing a pattern, and they're similar. I just wasn't looking at it from this angle before, as I am now. But there's so many similarities. Like, law enforcement uses like code, I think, on how they communicate. And I mean, if you're really to think down deep about that, I mean, when they kind of hinted to us pretty much no signs of abduction, unless it was someone within the family. Every car is accounted for. Every car on surveillance around that home that went down that road, Landside Road or whatever, they're all accounted for as well. That was why they wanted to go back even to the 27th, 5 days before, is to make sure that every vehicle was accounted for. Commonwealth, every vehicle was accounted for except for a magic red truck that turned up later on that they don't even believe ever existed. I don't think law enforcement believes there's a red truck that existed. I don't think so. And they'd have had a bulletin and mass bulletin everywhere. Just like in the Nikki McCann case. Red truck, remember? Like, You know, I don't know. It's too many Amber Alerts that I've seen that always give a vehicle a license plate something, and for some reason, in these cases, and one of them didn't even have an Amber Alert, and yet they also have all told us they don't believe that these kids were abducted, pretty much, in their own roundabout way. You're not searching a landfill because you feel like that a kid was abducted. Something of evidence value led you to there to get that probable cause search warrant across state lines for a landfill. So something led them there. Just like something has led the RCMP to feel the way they feel. They're not clearing the parents in any of these cases. There's a reason for that. It's because they feel that one of them was involved, if not all of them. I don't know. Y'all think about that. Think about that this morning before the sun comes up. You know, little Summer, I think they've always looked at Donnie Candace and Hunter and all them. I think they think something bad was going on and something bad had happened to that little girl. And they covered it up. Just like I think they think Sebastian, something bad happened and they covered it up. And Jack and Lily, I think the same thing. I think they feel that something bad happened to these kids. They'd have never come out and told us they didn't feel the kids were alive in the beginning. There's a reason they told us that. Remember, they got forensic evidence. Something told them the things that they told us. A little bit that they tell us, and they're going to tell us something that powerful, that they didn't believe Jack and Lily were alive. That's powerful. Just like Sebastian, they never felt that the kid left the home on his own. There's no proof of it. Sad, and even the mom was asking for proof the first day. So it's nothing, no coincidence there. Same as in Summer. Yeah, they picked her son up going down a hill that they said she probably couldn't have made on her own. So, you know, that to me, that's a cover-up. That means somebody drugged something with her sin around there. That's what that's telling me. If it's an area they don't believe that she would go or could physically go, you know, I don't know. It's just so many similarities. CPS being one of the big ones. That means there was abuse of some kind going on, or at least being reported. I mean, I don't know, guys. Y'all tell me what y'all think. I'm at a point where I feel like a lot of people are, I thought we're going to give a second wave for Sebastian. Seems like they might be giving up on Sebastian. And that really sucks. We're not going to. We're going to keep the fight up for him, for Jack and Lily, for Summer, for all of them. Even the adults, Nikki McCann, Suzanne Simpson, Jessica Kemp. I still think at that park, something bad happened on that camping trip. She didn't call 911 that night to say somebody was under a car for no reason. This wasn't a person that called 911 out of the clear blue like that. So I believe something happened to her. I believe foul play met her. I'm waiting on the autopsy. I haven't said anything yet, but there's so many cases out there. You know? Like the little boy that vanished 15 years ago from a science fair project, right? Harmon. You know, that's another one. They've looked at that stepmom all along, and she probably is guilty, in my opinion. When they zero in on somebody, they usually zero in on them for a reason. How many innocent people you see in jail, to be honest? Some people are going to say a lot. No, there's not a lot. The number's not that high. They don't get it wrong that much. But they do get it wrong. I get that. But when they start eyeballing people and they don't clear people, there's a reason. We really need to look deeper. So that's my goal now, is to try to figure out what law enforcement told us. I'm going to try a new task, and I know it's probably going to go crazy out here. Everybody's going to start doing it because our little family channel wants to do it. No, I'm playing. But y'all get what I'm saying. Like, I want to start looking at it as, like, what did they try to tell us? And if people want to jump on, I'm amazed, because I think Sebastian should be covered just as well as all these other cases. It deserves the same attention. I always say they all deserve the same attention. They're never going to all get the same attention, but, you know, and all these new teacher stuff that's going on with these teachers doing these, I don't know, weird things to kids. Like, the women are starting to outweigh the men on teachers lately. Another volleyball coach, another soccer coach, or I mean a volleyball coach and a soccer coach, and I mean, that's crazy. Now another 35 or 40-year-old woman, there's a married woman with a family. This is weird. It's really weird. But the thing is that I'm gonna try to approach this in a whole different light and see what I can come up with, because evidently we're missing something somewhere that they're trying to tell us. So I'm going to go back and think about all these little things here and see if I can figure out, you know, what exactly law enforcement's saying. And if we go by the little hints that we got along the way, there's a reason for all those hints. And when they don't really say much about the case, we have to look at the things that were the bombshell, like the landfill search, like the flashlight video that they're so trying to protect, like those types of things. You know, the no shoes to him saying, I'm not going to say he was barefoot. Like, why? Do they have some kind of picture of this kid with shoes? Like, why would he just say that like that? Why would he? I mean, that's powerful, though, if you think of it. Why would he come out and just contradict what the mother said that early in the game? I mean, that's contradicting the mom, the last one to see this kid. So you're going to tell me she's not a suspect? You're out of your mind. In my opinion, heck yeah, she's a prime suspect. Just like I think Daniel, and I think Daniel, and probably if Malea's not a witness in all of this, then yeah, she's 100% also a prime target suspect. I mean, and it's possible they both are. They probably both are. I don't know. I'm probably wrong on that. I just felt like maybe she was a woman trying to get away, and he harmed the kids because she was leaving. You know, there's some men out there that'll do some evil things to women and children. And I think a lot of us that support, like, battered women's shelters and things understand that. It happens a lot more than you know. It's just they don't make headlines. But somehow, somewhere, all the abuse was going on in all of these homes somewhere along the way. Neglect, abuse, something. Or else they would never, caseworkers don't get involved. Schools, these are teachers calling. The schools, this is other parents seeing something wrong. Other people seeing something wrong. Enough to call that number. That takes a brave soul to do that. So teachers aren't just going to call 911 to call 911. I mean, they're not going to just call CPS to call CPS, sorry. I don't know. Y'all let me know. Y'all have a good one. We got to get ready, packed up, get out there searching again. We left a little late today, so I was a little sleepy because we got in late last night. But y'all be good, be safe. Justice for, of course, all these individuals. Jack and Lily and Summer Wells and Sebastian Rogers and all the many missing and all the many runaways that run for a reason. Trigger warnings, of course, times 100 million always. Y'all's opinions are y'all's and y'all's alone. Not to reflect the channel. We do our research together because we are a big heart in our family. I hope all y'all have a blessed day. Thank y'all for all the wonderful kindness while Texas is going through this major disaster flood here. A lot of broken families. But remember, you know, these are educational purposes, and everyone is innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. Allegedly, these are just, like I said, my opinions and my free speech, and I'm entitled to it. But with that said, guys, y'all be safe, be good. We love y'all. We'll talk soon. All right, guys. Bye.